Chicago Bears offseason recap. It's a glimpse into a master plan that's unfolding quietly, almost under the radar, while everyone's watching the big headlines and splashy signings. You see, the Bears didn't just go all in on offense and defense this offseason, even though adding Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, Gerald Everett, and Caleb Williams might make you think otherwise. They also made moves that could have massive ripple effects deep into the roster, especially in one of the most overlooked but pivotal parts of any football team, the special teams unit. And that's exactly where Richard Hightower, the Bears' special teams coordinator, steps in with a plan that's starting to look absolutely genius. And at the heart of that plan? Two under-the-radar, undrafted rookie free agents who may just end up becoming the hidden weapons that complete this team's transformation. J.D. Walker out of Texas A&M and J.P. Richardson out of TCU. Now I know undrafted guys don't always make headlines, but stick with me here, because the more you learn about these two, the more you start to see how Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are building this thing brick by brick, even on the edges of the roster where most people stop paying attention. And what's even crazier is how similar these two prospects are, not just in size or stats, but in mentality, effort, explosiveness, and flat-out grit, which is exactly what this new Bears culture is demanding. Let's start with J.D. Walker, because this kid is an absolute gem that somehow slipped through the draft cracks. And I'll be honest, I think the Bears got away with highway robbery by scooping him up without using a pick. Coming out of Texas A&M, Walker didn't have the flashiest 2024 season, and that's probably why teams didn't prioritize him. But the truth? That dip in production had nothing to do with his talent. It was the context, the situation, the double teams, the way defenses zeroed in on him. And what got lost in that shuffle was what he did just a year earlier in 2023, which, when you really dig into the tape, is absolutely electric. Picture this: 35 catches, 590 yards, 16.9 yards per catch. Yes, you heard that right. Almost 17 yards a pop, meaning every time he touched the ball, it was a chunk play waiting to happen. And it wasn't just deep balls or busted coverages either. It was yards after catch, meaning he was creating those explosive plays with his feet, his power, his balance, and his awareness. And that right there is exactly what Ben Johnson is building this offense around. Versatility, physicality, and playmakers who can do damage after the ball is in their hands. Now you pair that with his 6'2", 199-pound frame, his 4.45 40-yard dash time, and a 34.5-inch vertical, and suddenly you realize this isn't just a camp body. They brought in a legit threat, a guy who can compete for a WR5 or WR6 role, especially in a room that needs size and presence beyond Rome Odunze. Let's be honest, DJ Moore is a technician and a leader, but at 5'11", he's not going to win a ton of 50-50 balls, and with guys like Velus Jones Jr. and Tyler Scott more in that speed specialist mold, the Bears needed another big-bodied weapon to keep defenses honest and to develop as a future rotational player, and J.D. Walker fits that bill to a T. But it's not just the tools, it's his mentality that sells you. After his pro day, scouts came up to him and said he surprised a lot of people, and his response? "They were just telling me you did a great job. You surprised a lot of people. Keep doing what you're doing and we'll talk to you soon." That's hunger. That's humility. That's someone who knows he has something to prove, and what makes it even better, he's open to special teams. In fact, he said flat out during his pro day, "My name is J.D. Walker. I played wide receiver and special teams." That's the kind of mindset you need to make a roster in this league: versatility, willingness, and toughness. He even said he knew he was going to block another punt. It was just a matter of time. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a guy who understands how to impact the game any way he can. And now here's where it gets even more interesting, because as impressive as J.D. Walker is, the Bears doubled down and added J.P. Richardson from TCU, and this kid is like Walker's twin in a lot of ways. Same size, same 40 time, same vertical, same aggressive energy, but with a slightly different flavor. Richardson is more of a return specialist, explosive in space, great vision, and fearless with the ball in his hands. And if you watched TCU games last year, you saw him pop on tape whenever he had a chance to break one. In 2024, he had 23 punt returns for 252 yards and a touchdown, averaging over 11 yards per return, and while that might not scream Devin Hester, it's more than enough to make you raise an eyebrow and wonder what Richard Hightower can cook up with this kind of weapon. What's even more telling? His attitude. Richardson said, "I like to be very vocal when needed. But more than anything, my leadership style is by example. I show up every day, try to be the same person, bring positive energy, and go hard at practice. Just have the dog mentality and good energy." Sound familiar? Yeah, it's exactly the type of culture the Bears have been preaching since day one of the Ryan Poles era. Guys who aren't just athletes, but tone setters, culture builders, and relentless competitors who do the dirty work. And while Richardson's relative athletic score, RAS, was a bit lower than Walker's at 714, the difference is marginal when you factor in his special teams experience, his maturity, and the fact that he already thinks like a pro. But here's where this all comes together and why this story matters more than people realize. When you're building a contender, every inch matters, every detail counts, and the guys who win you games in December and January aren't always your starters. They're your depth, your rotational players, your special teamers who set the tone on kickoffs, who flip the field with a punt return, who down the ball inside the 5, or block a punt to shift momentum. And these two? They're already showing the traits of guys who can do all of that. And more. Think about this for a second. If either J.D. Walker or J.P. Richardson can become a core special teamer and then eventually crack the offensive rotation as a WR4 or WR5, that's the kind of cheap, homegrown production that playoff teams feast on. And now zoom out even more. Think about how this fits into the larger Bears puzzle. Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, that's your offensive fireworks show. Then you've got the returning defense, led by Montez Sweat, Jalen Johnson, and Tremaine Edmonds. Add to that the glue guys, the locker room grinders, the special teams dogs, and suddenly this roster isn't just top-heavy anymore. It's deep. It's dangerous. It's complete. And that's what makes these undrafted signings so fascinating. These aren't just throwaway flyers. These are calculated bets by a front office that's been hitting more than it's missing lately. Ryan Poles isn't gambling. He's investing. And Ben Johnson isn't just trying to install a system. He's building a culture. And that culture requires dogs. Players who will show up early, leave late, make the dirty plays, and chase down punts like their life depends on it. J.D. Walker and J.P. Richardson might not be household names yet, but give it time. If you ask the coaches, the scouts, the veterans in the locker room, they'll tell you these are the guys that make teams better from the inside out.